This is how I track every client invoice I send out for design projects to make sure I'm getting paid on time and I'm not leaving any money on the table. So obviously when you're a freelancer or a service provider, keeping track of all the invoices you sent can be kind of a pain in the ass. There are a couple of apps out there like QuickBooks and FreshBooks that kind of do this for you, but they felt a little too clunky for me. And I also just didn't want to pay a monthly subscription for them. So I built one for myself in Notion, and I'm going to show you. Whenever I need to send out a new invoice, I go over to my Notion dashboard that I built, click on New Invoice Template, and I'll fill out all this information. This is what it looks like when it's all filled out. It'll have the client name, the company, the invoice status, any campaign that we worked on together, and I have these slots here for all the services that I performed during that campaign. And the reason I have it set up this way in Notion is because eventually when I decide to pay for a Google Workspace, I'll be able to automate this whole thing, which will allow me to create the invoice in Notion and then email it without ever having to actually open my email or anything like that. But the real magic all happens in this little formula that I came up with. So down here, I have a field that's called date sent, and I will update that whenever I send out the actual invoice. Then this formula called overdue will update the messaging according to the status and the date that it was sent. For example, it's telling me to update the status. So I'll go ahead and say that the invoice was sent. And now the messaging in that formula has updated to say invoice sent. If I change the date sent to, let's say, the beginning of the month and the invoice was sent, it'll tell me how many days that invoice is actually overdue. Now, I currently have that date threshold set around 10 days, which lets me know how long the client actually has to pay the invoice. Then once I actually get paid, I go ahead and change it to payment received, and then it updates here as well. And that's how I keep track of all the invoices I send out to my clients for design projects. If you want to learn more about the Notion dashboard that I built for service providers and freelancers just like me, you can go over and check it out on my profile. And if you want more tips on design, go ahead and like this video and follow me.